We're going to call the meeting to order at this time. Welcome all board members as well as the public tonight. If you would, we'd like to begin our meetings with prayer. Heavenly Father, we just pray tonight for wisdom, and we thank you for the forum in which we can meet, discuss, deliberate, vote, and do our best, Lord, to lead this township. Thank you, Lord, that ultimately you're covering to us in our lives and to our community. Lord, you use people, though, and Father, I thank you for the good people we have. Lord, those that serve us day in and day out. Father, we just pray you continue to bless and protect, keep them. Lord, I pray for wisdom, as I say, in these matters that we deal with both in meetings as well as throughout our weeks. Pray, God, that we would serve you with an earnest heart and sincerely seek your will. Pray now for a blessing on the remainder of the meeting. We ask this in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God, indivisible,
with liberty
and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Our clerk, call the roll.
Everyone here except for Mr. Small.
All right, so we've got a quorum. John, let us know in advance you'd be gone. Item 5, is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
So moved.
Support it.
I do have a question. The minutes are incorrect for the finance meeting, and that's under communications. I don't know if I should bring it up now or when we get to communications.
Oh, we'll do it then.
Okay.
Let's do that. Yep. Any other comments? Okay, hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the agenda is approved. Now we're at communication, letters, and reports received for information. We've got a number of different minutes there, and you wanted to speak to one in particular?
Yep. A couple corrections. One I noticed under, and this isn't that big of a deal, 231106-11 to go into closed session, so we just need to add a D. I don't think that's that important. I just happened to notice that. I guess the main thing was item 231106-12. My motion, that's not correct. My motion was to recommend to the board to reinstate Dan Hamming as fire chief.
Yeah, I think that's a proper clarification. That's what happened. Yep.
And then for 231106-13, again, my motion was to recommend to the board to terminate Robert Blitchock as the superintendent and begin the search for a new superintendent immediately.
You know, I don't recall that last phrase, but I imagine that one would follow the other. So it's a matter of semantics, I guess. Ryan, you were there. Any issue with verbiage? No, I don't either. Okay.
That was it.
All right. And for the benefit of our listening audience, if you will, if you don't have your phones up or you're not connecting in, those motions did not come out of committee, but they are reflected in the minutes that we're referring to of the Finance Committee. Okay. With those grammatical corrections or semantics, at this point, people ready to... Actually, we don't need to vote on this. Let's move on. Number 7. All right. Public comments for actions on the agenda tonight. So those who come from the public tonight, you're going to be given 2 opportunities to speak. First one being right now as it relates to remaining agenda items. We've got a number of things on the agenda tonight. I know that I see some folks from Fusion IT. I think you can hold your fire until we come to your point on the agenda, but anyone else in the general public who wants to address items on the agenda tonight, this would be your opportunity. Later in the meeting, then, you'll have the chance to address the board as well on any topic you like, all right? So whether it's something we talk about during the meeting, whether it's something you came with on your mind already, you'll get that chance. Okay, so is there anyone who wishes at this time to address the board on remaining agenda items? Seeing none, we'll close that initial public comment period and go on to item 8, consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve Consent agenda.
Support.
All right, moved and supported. Again, any comments, questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? And the consent agenda is passed. Item 9, information technology. And I alluded to the fact that we've got some representatives from Fusion IT here tonight. It doesn't necessarily mean that you gentlemen need to speak, but you are welcome to, and you certainly did with our finance committee, and it was very helpful. So, all right. So does someone wish to place a motion before the board to approve and sign a contract with Fusion IT as our third-party IT support?
I would make that motion.
All right. Support by Michael, supported by Ryan. So the matter's on the floor before you. I'll just say by way of background, I think most of you know this too, but we've really never had an IT services provider at the level we're talking about here. And it is something that we've been talking about for a period of time as we've had some maybe failures or breakdowns or patches that were needed or ways into the system as both people have become more sophisticated and being able to either hack in or access IT systems, as well as just the growth of the township in general. Now we're more than 54,000 people, and I think to some degree what we have is held together by baling wire and duct tape. And so I'd like to turn to my left and right here for either of you that made the motion of support, if you want to say anything about why you support it, or if those who are not part of the committee want to ask questions, as I say, you can avail yourself of Fusion IT or any one of us on finance. So it's on the floor.
I would just say our servers, infrastructure, we're aging, and it's time to, I guess, do something about it.
This is also an opportunity for us to cut some costs in other areas that different consultants that we use. And I want to reiterate also, when it comes to a service, we don't always take the lowest bid. It's whatever is the best fit for us that we feel like is going to be the best service quality that meets our standard here and provides the best care for our constituents. So.
And haven't we been using them for services already, and they've been doing it?
There's a company, Millennia Technologies, that has been providing services here related more to phones, right?
Phones, right. Okay, that's what I
So
thought.
to that degree, yes, they've been
Okay.
working with us through an affiliated company. I don't know, anyone here that wants to ask questions or would like to hear a statement possibly from them? If not, I know that they did give us a good amount of time, and it is an important contract to us, so I want to make sure everyone gets that chance.
How does this integrate with the issues we've been having with our lock system and stuff with our buildings and stuff? Is there an integration between what you guys are going to do and what we've got to do with, we've looked at GVA and different places for our lock systems?
That's a great question. So I think that, first of all, Ken Nelson with Fusion IT, thank you for allowing us to be here. I think that that's a deeper question. That's a part of road mapping, as we're trying to get you guys caught up to where you really need to be. What does the future hold? What are the things that are 2 or 3 steps out in front of us? As you look at the landscape of just security in general when it comes to schools, municipalities, things like that, how much has that changed over just the last decade? All right. Having the ability to lock things down, having requirements that require you to be able to do these things to protect the people that work here. Part of this is a learning experience with us as well. This is a new relationship on the IT side of it. So we want to dig into that. What is the best for you? What do the requirements say? What do the state and federal requirements say? How is that got to interact? There's a lot of this interaction that tends to go on with phone systems, believe it or not, because you're usually punching down numbers to put an emergency code in there, right? You guys have all been familiar with that. So we're looking forward to helping you guys build that roadmap for what does the future look like for the city and your constituents. I hope I answered your question.
Does our phone system run off the computer now, or is it off the phone line?
You have a PRI right now, correct?
Okay.
Yes. Yep.
Is that something you look into, is going to a computer type phone system?
Yeah, absolutely. That's something that we've engaged in. Part of our philosophy was, if we're going to onboard you for IT or technical services, I don't want another project right out of the gate with that. So your phone system is, we know when the end of life is. You've got some time yet. So the city has just renewed that for 1 year. So after we get you onboarded to IT services, at that point what we can do is start to look at what are your options and what fits the city the best. And part of that would be that road mapping that we talked about.
What's the connection between IT, phones, and email addresses? Because I know we've had some email address issues too. I mean, somebody tried to fish down mine last week, my township email. So
that's a loaded question. So
that's why I'm asking it.
Yeah, everything's connected now. I mean, it's all connected now. So I'll just speak out of my heart right now. This is where I see technology going. So you have all of these people that work at the city. So you can do everything you want to secure the city down, or a business, or an organization. But when those people go home at night and get on their own personal computers that have their own personal email addresses that don't have all of the security features, and they start using the same passwords as they are at work, well, how long do you think it's going to take before people start to look at, oh, LinkedIn, they work at the township office. Oh, I have the password. I wonder if that password works over here. And stuff gets sold on the dark web. So all of these things that we're talking about are unified communications security, cyber security, start getting to manufacturing. I don't want to go down too far past, but you can get into CMMC. But for the city, for the township, this is really more about where do those connecting points have to be and to best serve the organization that you guys have.
Do you carry some sort of a liability or a comprehensive insurance?
Yes, we do.
That would cover us for something that maybe you dropped the ball and we just hired you for, or how does that work?
That's a great question, Kurt. I'm probably going to need a little help on that one.
We do have liability insurance for ourselves. We have errors and omissions, but it is always advised that the organization itself would have some kind of cyber insurance policy, which specifically addresses these types of issues that might arise: phishing, crypto, various types of security risks.
Touch on, like you did with us, the phishing, if you will, that you do with employees, and just sort of the human element, how that can oftentimes be, where people get in.
Extremely important part of what we do. So on top of the normal computer services and making sure the boxes are all running is the security side. And a huge part of the security side is the human element. Probably the most targeted piece is the person right now. It is the easiest one to infiltrate. So core to our philosophy is to build around security practices. And one of those is a training regimen. So we give essentially monthly training courses to employees, and then we also do essentially phishing tests. So we model fake phishing emails to come in and target all of you to see who bites, which gives us a profile of users, who's clicking, who's not clicking, who might need more focus. Can we individualize training for someone? It is by far the most effective security measure that you can take.
Real quick, to interject. So, client of ours, I share the story all the time because it's about that success. 200 users. We onboarded them as a managed service client just 3 years ago. Actually, in July. That first quarter after they were onboarded, they had a 65% click-through rate. That means that of all the 200 users that were being tested, 65%, 130 people, clicked on something that they shouldn't have. Fast forward, the last 2 quarters, actually, we said that before passed, the last 2 quarters we just came out of, first time it took 3 years to get to this point, 0% click-through rate. So education. You got to have it in place. I'm glad you brought up the testing, because you got to have a test in place. You got to have something that's applying tests so that nobody else sees. Guess who the worst offenders are? Sorry. But it's usually the executive levels at organizations that we're talking to, right? And when we start to train them so that they can see what to look for lighting your house or that, I think, goes to your point where all of that's connected. So that's another part of what we do.
So back to insurance, would we have our insurance company then to overlook what their insurance requirements are so that we're meshing this together?
I think we already have insurance.
I think it's on our,
Cybersecurity.
We have cybersecurity insurance.
yeah, I
We
think
want to
it's on
make
the
sure
website.
that there's coverage that,
What we'll want to do is verify that you're meeting their standards,
correct.
because they'll give you a list of requirements, and there's a lot of people who just check the boxes. We want to make sure you're actually meeting those, because insurance, their number one goal is essentially to not pay.
Correct.
They're going to look for any way out. They're going to audit you if you make a claim. So we want to probably review that and just make sure
Right.
you are meeting their requirements. And we model our basic security package is essentially modeled off of current standard requirements for these cyber insurance companies. So that we built it on, that way on purpose.
Okay, sounds good.
Anyone else? I'll say to you, these two gentlemen did a great job when they came to finance, spent a lot of time and were very helpful, very informative. Justin or Rob, anything you wanted to add, any thought? No? All right. Okay.
Just
Thank you.
excited to have the support, so.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
thanks.
you.
Okay, well, the motion is before you. I'm going to call the vote at this time. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And the contract is approved. Look forward to working with you. Feel free to go if you wish, or stay. It's entirely up to you. Good.
Thank you, guys.
Good. Item 10, this is a potential change of zoning. Is there a motion that someone wishes to place before the board?
So move.
Support.
All right, this came out of our commission. All right, and you've got a piece of land that they're looking to move to LDR from RR, which they're saying in the staff report is consistent with the master deed.
It actually was LDR, and then they went to RR because they wanted to do something different with the property, and then they decided to go back to LDR, so, yeah.
Yeah, they wanted to build a house, I think, right, on the 10 acres, and then they didn't, and decided to pull it back.
Yeah, so.
Okay.
it falls
Question
in.
I have for anyone on the board, but maybe Gary in particular, as you look at it, you have to provide utilities to this
Correct.
premises. Now, you can't develop this land without it and add them sometime thereafter, can you? You've got to, in conjunction with the actual development, have those utility connections available, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right. I want to make sure there couldn't be any lag. Okay.
And we had that discussion at the planning commission too, to make sure that there was discussions with DPW of getting water and sewer available and all those things, so yes.
Is the property owner here tonight, by chance? Okay. Anyone, any questions, comments? Okay. So the resolution, so we'll have to take a roll call vote on this. All right.
Ms. Grassman,
Yes.
Mr. Valley,
Yes.
Treasurer,
Yes.
Supervisor. Clerk is a yes. Mr. Steele,
Yes.
something's going on with my thing.
Sorry, I took my microphone off because I don't like to amplify my coffee.
Okay. So it has passed. Item number 11, the sign ordinance amendment has come back to us from Planning Commission. It has been here once before. And is there a motion to approve the resolution now as modified?
So move.
Support it.
Supported, okay. So far as I could tell, the change seemed to be the length of time.
60 to 90 days.
Yeah,
Correct.
That's all I saw that was different.
okay. All right. We raised a number of thoughts last time. I'm sure that those who were concerned about one or two of those provisions maybe still are concerned, because I don't know that everything was changed, obviously, but
Well, the planning commission, pretty much was good with the decision they made originally. They did go to 90 days, considering that some signs could, trying to keep track of time is going to be difficult. I think the biggest reason we keep that time in there is so that you have something to fall back on if there's a complaint. So you have something to in your ordinance to be able to come back and say, okay, it's been 90 days, we need that sign taken down. The 32 square foot to 64, we still feel that property rights go both ways. As much as one guy wants a 32 or 64 or 32 square foot sign, we feel that the guy across the street may not want one that big. So I think that's the reason why. And basically the planning commission has said, we're not an elected body. We look at property rights from both sides, and if the board wants to change it, they still can. But we're very comfortable with as much time as we spent on where we were in the first place, where we came and brought the first proposal. And you can see by the visuals that's on there, they're listing having 32 square feet of aggregate sign and 64 square feet of aggregate sign. It's quite substantial. So.
Strikes me as one of those rewrites that, and you see this with other common ordinances that are long enough and I think pertinent enough, that is, many of us will encounter sign questions or sign issues at one point or another. It seems like the kind of thing that in the future may come to the board from time to time with, hey, can we revise subparagraph B1 to say X, right? Probably will get further refined over time, but I recognize that you can't, like any legislation. If
the sign ordinance is a very long ordinance, if you've read it, and just how far in the woods you want to get with it. Because it's again, we are not ordinance driven, we're complaint driven. I don't believe we've had a lot of complaints on signs, but we do need something to go back with if we do have a complaint to say, okay, this is what the ordinance says. So we have to have some rules.
That makes sense.
Just try to have something that we can go fall back on if we have a complaint. So our zoning administrator can go out and take care of those things. So
I notice we've got both Rich and Kevin, and I imagine you came for this particular point potentially. Of course, you can also ask questions of them, or if you wish to make any sort of further statement beyond Gary's, you're welcome to do so. Okay. Board members?
Did the planning commission have any discussion about size of property and size of sign?
That was basically brought to us, and that was a discussion amongst the board, but really wasn't something that we were to deal with, the way it was written to the board, to the planning commission. So we didn't really take it up because it wasn't a directive.
I have just one question for you gentlemen. Whether you want to come speak or just answer from where you are, but are you satisfied with what's been placed before us? Do you feel like it's a well worded and a logical ordinance as you see it?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, the Township Board. Yes, the staff before me, Victor and Rich and our legal counsel worked on this very diligently. There's a lot of comparisons that were made. The townships that tried to accomplish content neutrality that fell short, things like that. I think the fact that the Planning Commission has seen this on 3 occasions, listening to their discussion points about, I brought them basically the points to evaluate from the Township Board, the last meeting. They did evaluate them, the ones that made it into the actual directive, and then we had discussion on the ones that didn't make that into the motion in regard to land size, things like that. There was an overall discussion that they weren't going to really entertain that it wasn't appropriate, they felt. So, I do believe that the Planning Commission is really looking at this holistically. I think they are understanding that they are making a statement about the aesthetic character of Georgetown when it comes to temporary signage. We kind of reiterated the fact that this is an endorsement on how many pieces of plastic, cardboard, and wood and bed sheets and things like that can end up across from your lawn. It's not about what's on it because the Supreme Court told us it's not what's on it. So I think they really kind of dissected that and remained consistent with what we had previously. That's the biggest statement is there was, we had to aggregate things, we had to bring things in, but a lot of what we had previously remained consistent with 32 square feet. They felt that was a good point to leap off from. So, I was kind of brought into this and have been a part of these discussions and listened to your appointed members discuss it, and I do believe it's a good product, and I do believe it's accomplishing what we're trying to accomplish, mitigating risk, and then also reinforcing what the Supreme Court has said. So I do feel that way. I know Rich feels that way as well, and he's the one on the beat. So yep.
Comments or questions for Kevin while he's up there?
My primary concern was addressed in my discussion with you guys. The last meeting, my number one issue was the potential of violating someone's First Amendment rights. And I did not want to have any opportunity for that to be an issue. Granted, this is all complaint driven. So in order to even be included into it, it would be a complaint that had to be already filed on it. But it sounds like in talking to Rich, there's court cases that would back us to protect us from any type of violation of that. Because obviously I wanted to make sure everyone has a right across the board to state what they want to state.
And just to be open in our discussion with the board member, we were talking about the even application of this ordinance to everyone. The possibility, I think we know better than most people of the ability to wield the ordinance against your neighbor, or not wield the ordinance, make up ordinances to wield against your neighbor, things like that. The even application of this is something we will always fall back on, which is no matter what is on that sign, it doesn't matter what's on that sign. Let's reiterate that again. Doesn't matter. We will apply the ordinance as it's written to everything. So as it's reported to us, as we are responding, we are being reactive and not proactive. That's what happens. We have enforcement measures that we currently practice that will be applied in a specific way here as well. So, Rich is prepared for that. I'm prepared to support him.
All right.
My only comment would be a lot of gratitude to both of you, especially to Gary and the Planning Commission for going over this multiple times and seeing it through lots of lenses, but also circling back and helping us see it through lots of lenses. It's hard. It's hard to do. Our first blush at it, as a group, the last time that it was on our agenda, was of course, our first pass as a group at it, but I know a lot of work had been done prior to that and a lot of work since then. So I appreciate that Planning Commission was willing to go back over it and hear our feedback, but I also totally appreciate that they kind of said, no, we're for the most part comfortable with where we are. So thank you guys for all the time that you put into that. I know that was a big ask.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. And Kevin and Rich, from where you are, you concur with what Kevin has shared? As the guy who's got in force, you concur? Okay.
Right.
All right. All right. Any other comments?
And just like talking, it was a good conversation that we had, and the fact that even the process in which, if there is a violation of this, seemed to be a decent way of handling it. So, we would not even actively be involved in removing any type of sign. So, yep.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Kev.
Y'all ready to vote? Opposition, let's say roll call vote.
Mrs. Steele?
Yes.
Clerk is a yes. Supervisor?
Yes.
Treasurer?
No.
Mr. Baldwin?
Yes.
Ms. Grasso?
Yes.
5-1?
1. Yep.
Right. We'll go on to item 12 then. 2024 bid from the Grand Rapids Press. This is an annual occasion. We don't have any options. Raised it a little bit each year and continues. I was surprised. I think I saw the circulation numbers in looking at this. Was it 35,000 on the Tuesday, Thursday, and then 50,000 or something on the weekend? I think I can't remember the last time I've seen a physical Grand Rapids Press or held it.
Well, the thing about the paper, though, they tell you circulation, but they don't tell you how many people read it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Kind of how many they print, and you don't know if
I
they're sitting
see.
in at family fair in their newsstand or if people even pick it up and read it. So
there are certain things for which we must publish notice,
right.
and therefore the press has been the vehicle through which we've done. Yeah.
I think our legislature was working on a new, or a bill to remove that just because
like
in this day.
Make it electronic or?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you heard where that's
I
at?
haven't heard anything.
I remember reading that too. Well, okay. This one's a pretty easy one. Is there a motion? We've got the motion already made, yeah? Or have it passed? No?
I don't think it's a motion.
Move.
Support.
Right. Supported. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, that passes. Item 13, this is our annual approval of liquor licenses now for 2024. I don't think, Rob, correct me, but I think these are the same 6, and we didn't have any new ones past year. So, and we've got, I don't know how many on the shelf, so to speak, for restaurants or other ventures. All right, well, all 6 want to renew.
Can I ask
Any
you a
comments,
question?
questions? Yeah.
Okay, I was talking to Gary about number 6, rebounders. Since I haven't been to rebounders, I mean, I'm just curious, what do parents drink while the kids bounce? I mean,
You can get a beer while your kids are bouncing.
okay, I didn't know what they served, or I haven't been there, so I'm just curious how all that works.
After enough beers, you bounce with the grandkids. It's not a big deal. It's just
You drive your grandkids home.
They have a nice setup there too. So like the only place where you can go is in the back left.
Okay.
This is away from kids if you do decide to.
And they have these
partake.
chairs that you don't want to get out of.
Yeah, they're like massage
Everybody
chairs.
who goes back there never comes out.
Yeah.
Okay, I've never
I've
been.
been there many times because my kids are of age and
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
well, when Russ is deer hunting, you can head over to Rebounder.
You jumped off that ledge.
Only if you go with
I
me.
have not partook in
Call my wife.
To me, the most dangerous part of the
Pray
jump
her.
is hitting your head on the beam, not
Sure.
landing on the bag. Okay, is there a motion then to renew these
So
liquor
moved.
licenses?
Support.
It's been moved and supported. All in favor say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? They are renewed. Item 14, 2024 boards and commission meeting dates following, I think, pretty much the schedule we've been on for the past period of time. We're simply extending that to the natural dates that would fall in 24. Anybody have any issues as you look through there or notice any mistakes?
I just had a question, our meetings, they necessarily fall on election, or is there a law that we can't meet during an election week? I'm just trying to.
Yeah. That's the biggest concern now because we have early 9-day voting.
Yep.
Okay, I see.
We would be using.
Correct. We won't have a meeting during that voting time.
Yep.
I see. Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank
That's
you.
why I asked the question. I was like, what's
And
We could have it at the senior center.
yeah, I was going to say, likewise, Mike,
should be trying
we've met
that.
at the senior center in the past. If we came about September, October time, we saw that we had a number of items that really couldn't afford to wait, we'll call a meeting, right, for an off-site location. Where did we went to the senior center once, I think we went.
We were out to the ravine.
Ravine, yeah.
Okay.
Field trip.
Mhm.
So,
That was my only question.
I'm trying to think if there was another one. We always have that library too.
I was going to say, yeah. So, yeah, I think it's important to keep in mind we can schedule a meeting in place of where we've got no meeting right now.
Okay.
Have to play it by ear. Other comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? All right, and it's carried. Item 15, senior transportation notice. Is there a motion to approve the publication of that notice?
So move.
Support.
Moved and supported. Amy, any comments or, no? Becky from services, anything beyond the obvious? No? All right. Any comments, board members? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries. 16 now, matter of closed session for personnel review. Is there a motion to go into closed session at this time?
So move.
Support.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, just for the benefit of those who are here tonight, we will go into closed session in a room just down the hall here. You'll see the door is shut, hence the name closed session. We will be as expedient as we can be and come back on the record here after that. And as you know, there's a second public comment period yet available this evening. Frankly, and I'll just say this to the board members, I'm open to hearing from you now.
I was just going to say, could we do public comment now? That way,
You guys,
I think that we need to be careful because we just made a motion to go into closed session.
We'd take it off.
So I think that we just, like, procedurally probably need to withdraw that, but I'm fine either.
yeah, let's, who moved?
I did.
All right. Moved to support it, withdraw.
I supported it.
so you'd have to remove your support first. And
I'll
Gary would
remove my
the
support.
Move the motion. Sure.
Support the removal of the
I just don't want us
motion.
to get into trouble.
No, you're
All
right.
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 All in favor of removing that motion, say aye.
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 All right. Passed now. I'm going to make a motion that we move item 17 up to right now in second public comment period.
Support.
Okay, moved and supported. Any comments?
Would that be technically moved to 15B then?
Yes, that's true. Okay, thank you.
Good call.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Okay. So we're going to hear from the public now. Any one of you who wishes to come forward and address, as I said earlier, anything on your minds at all. That way, I think I can safely say that when we come out of closed session, I don't expect that we're going to transact additional business, but you're welcome to stay because I can't say that for an absolute certainty. But we'd like to hear from you now. So the mic is open. Okay, sorry, didn't mean to presume on anybody that you would speak, but I see this gentleman kind of stirring. Are you interested in addressing the board? We'd welcome you, sure. We just ask for name and street address, and you've got 3 minutes. Yeah, welcome.
All your time. My name's Larry Hewitt, and my address is 6885 Creek Ridge Court in Hudsonville. So, I'm here on behalf of my friend and Chief Hamming. I understand there's been a disruption here at the township, and I know that there's no other person that I'd like to have in my court as Chief Hamming and what he does for the township and what he does as a person. I apologize. I'm as nervous as a cat right now.
Can't tell. Just keep going. Oh, you seem great.
You're doing fine.
So, thank you. It's not my forte. Yeah, Dan is a person of honesty, integrity. He'll do anything for anyone here. He has dearly loved this township, being involved 45 plus years here in the department. And like I say, I don't know where we're at with this at this point. I'm just coming in and just letting you know what I know about Dan. Our driveways are like 3 feet apart from each other. So I know how he conducts his life, and I know how he has a love for what he does. He goes up and beyond his family and serves this community. There's many times we would maybe go out for a pizza to Fricano's in Hudsonville, and he'd have his radio with him and making sure that everybody was safe back here. Being 3 feet apart driveways, our windows are right next door, of course, but 3 in the morning, hear them blazing off to go to an accident and not knowing who's going to find when he sees who's going to be in the accident, whether it be my daughter or your son. But he's the first person on the site and addresses it in a very professional manner. His crew is there, taking care of all situations in a very good aspect, I feel. But it's holidays for him. It's not holidays for us, but not so much for him because it's always on his mind. Our swimming pools are not too far from each other, and we're over here having a good time, and Dan's got his radio on, and we're always hearing the emergency calls come across the radio all the time, and next thing you know, the truck is gone, and that's Dan. He's always there for you. His family, they're a statue of service. His wife serves the community through the Hospital Association Spectrum. Many, many times taking care of the community. Dan's the same way. Sons are the same way. His dad was on the department. His sons came up through the department, John and Zach. And he's just a great guy. So, if it means anything. But
Thanks for sharing with us.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
for coming in.
Others? Anyone else? Welcome.
So, let's see.
What's
I
your
have
name?
a very,
Your name, if
my
you don't
name
mind.
is Ann Hamming. I am the wife
Yep.
of Dan Hamming. What we've endured the last 10 days has been so difficult. When I dated Dan years ago, when we first started dating, he was on the department. And I knew when I married him that the department would always come first, and our family would come second. And they've always known that. And they respected him for it. But look at his, if you look at his week, how it's spent. He would be here. He's been here for the last 17 and a half years at every single board meeting. He served as deputy chief. He completely and totally supported the chief that he served under. He has tried to put himself out as someone that the township comes first, and the people of this township come first. The most hurtful part through all of this has been for the decisions that have been made over the last 10 months that Dan has had no one. He had no one who could support him. There were allegations made. Nothing. Comments were, well, talk to multiple officers. You're unapproachable. You're confrontational. I know my husband. If he's upset with an officer because he parked a fire truck under a power line and that ladder's going to go up and connect with that line, would you as a township board ask him to go to that man and say, hey, do you mind putting that ladder up right now? Or be confrontational and say, you're going to kill somebody. But he has yet to be given an opportunity to present his side of what these allegations that have been made to him, against him. And I feel that that's so unfair to him, because he's given you everything. We have given you him for everything. And when it comes right down to it, we have nothing. My son and my daughter are here with me tonight as support, and they know Mom always cries, so I apologize for that. But this is our heart. This was not how he wanted his career at Georgetown Township to end. He wanted to work till he was 67. And that was known. He's been made to sign performance improvement plan with no new allegations made in that. It's like, but again, he couldn't have anybody with him in these meetings. It's always been 2 against 1. If he went to the board, you will be terminated. So who did Dan have? He and I have shed more tears over this job in the last 10 months, and yet he has stayed with it. He could have walked away or been terminated if he didn't sign his performance improvement plan. And we prayed about it that weekend, and we decided together, you know what? Bring some positives into it. Anybody can make a change in their job. None of us is indispensable, but anybody can make an improvement in their job. He worked on communicating better. He was meeting, he was doing everything he could until along comes a workman's comp claim that occurred while he was not even in town. And the individuals that were involved in that did not fill it out accurately, did not fill it out. And that provided what was needed for Dan to be discharged. If there are other allegations that have never been brought to him, if you would review his performance file, he has never signed anything. So I just need you to hear what a good man he is. And he has always loved the board. So I'm sorry for the tears, but I'm crying for him as well. This has been awful.
Thank you for sharing from your heart. Appreciate it. Anyone else? Okay. Seeing none, close the second public comment period. Now we go to the closed session for personnel review. Is there a motion to go into closed session?
So move.
Support.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we're going to go into closed session right over here. Not a closed session. Back here.
I think my 2 cents on that is I like 7 because I want to make sure that anybody that would attend as part of the public
Exactly.
has the time to, sorry, I forgot my microphone was on me, but has the time to do dinner with their family and then come to the meeting. I think the more that we're meeting during the dinner hour, more inconveniences our constituents.
I think Ottawa
Not for our
County starts
convenience,
at 6:30. So even 6:30. So I was just throwing it out there.
Okay.
Just a thought.
Yeah. Any other thoughts?
So we got an update on pickleball? What
No.
Service?
Nope. There was nothing. Not yet.
Anything else? Motion to adjourn.
So move.
Support.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
That was a hand raise. Hand raise.
Okay, get better.
This is actually